All right, guys. Hey, welcome to our Wednesday product training call. And this week we have my buddy, Riad Mourssali out of Phoenix. Riad, you've gone Hall of Fame, what, three times?
Twice.
Twice. Plenty of times.
Yeah.
So probably combined premiums. How long you been here? 4 years?
4 years. Yep.
4 years. You probably sold close to $2 million plus worth of insurance. Oh yeah. So like you talk about selling insurance, he knows how to do it, right? Regardless of its final expense, mortgage protection, IULs, blah, 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 blah. Been there, done that, killing it, crushing it. One of the things that I wanted to have Riyadh join back with us because he was on our call a couple months back and it was phenomenal. The sales training he gave us. And I work pretty closely with Riyadh, even though we're not on the same team. And he said something to me about a couple months ago. He goes, "Hey, I'm ready to take a pivot." And I'm like, okay. Right? How long were you selling IVR mortgage?
Close to 2 years at least.
Right. And then you
Yeah.
said, I'm going to add IULs
I'm
into
gonna
my
add IULs.
to your
Yep.
lead portfolio, and now that's all you do.
Yeah. Fully
Right.
transitioned now.
Yep, fully transition to IUL. So we did a call on Monday, and I want to share this because I want to make sure we get this disclaimer out before anybody starts going crazy. Look, if what you're doing is already working, do it. These calls are designed to basically give you another perspective on how to do this business. When you have a life insurance license, there's 6 to 7 different types of things we can sell. Final expense, mortgage protection, general life, IULs, annuities, infinite banking, whole life. There's like so many things we can do with our license. Some of y'all are really good at one. Stay with that, right? But open up your eyes to different types of categories because that's how you become a well-rounded agent. We're not saying get rid of everything you're doing to do this. Like if you're ripping 20, 30, 40 grand a month in your current sales, don't change it. Just add to it, right? So Riyadh, you transitioned into doing IULs obviously because it's profitable for you. What was that like? Right, 2 years in a heavy mortgage. There's a learning curve now. You got to put yourself at being brand new. I remember you're talking that to me, and you're like, "Do I feel like a brand new agent again? I've been doing this for 3 years. I got to go learn again." I'm like, "Yeah, that's the beauty of this business, constant learning, right?" Um,
Yeah.
what was that like? That transition like for you to be able to go from a source of lead that you've ran for 2 years straight heavily, and then transition into IULs?
Yeah. Well, I'd done it with final expense already because that's what I started out on. Year and a half of final expense. And then I made the transition from that to mortgage. And I just already knew. And it's like anything in life. Whenever you start something new, it's going to be a challenge, right? So what was it like for me? I went into it with the mindset of first knowing that my production's going to go down, and that's okay because I'm learning a new skill. So,
Right.
yes, it sucks to make less money, but overall, I think it's going to lead me in a direction that'll be a lot better for myself. So, and I didn't just stop like cold turkey on mortgage. Like I weaned myself off, but I did reduce my lead flow on mortgage and I just immediately added in IULs, even though I didn't know what I was doing. And I just started doing it. I grabbed a script and, like you said, brand new agent. And that's what I felt like. And from the phone conversations, right? But ultimately, guys, whether it's final expense, mortgage, or IUL, our sales process is the same. We're just changing a little bit of the verbiage. That's it. And with IULs, I actually feel like it's less selling than final expense and mortgage and general life because you're saying, hey, what do you want to contribute into this? Instead of saying, hey, which option out of the three makes the most sense to you?
Right.
Right. So you're talking about a contribution, almost like they're putting money into a 401k, and everyone does that, right? So the transition was, mentally taxing a little bit, just like it was the first time, but I knew it's going to lead to where I'm at now, which is I started, actually got off of my leads completely, mortgage leads in February. So that's only a month and a half ago, right? That I've been
Right.
off. So,
And back to
but
back
yeah,
40, 45, 50K months over that easily with the premium you're writing. So obviously it works. But here's what I'm trying to get to for our agents on this call. When you add a new lead type, it's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to suck. Like I remember vividly, like Will Lore, who I love to death. Um, Will Lore was crushing final expense face to face in homes at the time, right? And a buddy of mine was like, Joe and I were like, hey, Will, like you should pick up mortgage because it's available in your county, which is very rare, but you should get it. And so he was like, all right, here's the card. Wait, I think I don't want to do it. Like, and we're like, just do it. And so he does it, and then boom, sucks a little bit, production triples. There has to be a dip. Everybody goes through it, and it's normal. If you don't think it is, you're delusional, right? Because it's a new skill. So you go through that dip, and then once you figure out all the kinks, you're like, oh, this is what the client means. Oh, this is what their expectations are. Oh, this is the product that I need to be able to highlight the features. Boom, you take off, right? Um, I feel the same way about IULs and what you were talking about. Like you were saying, all the sales process is the same because it is. You're just in mortgage, instead of going, hey, we're going to protect the equity, we're going to buy time. Instead of doing that, you're just going, what are we going to contribute for your retirement because it's going to be tax free, blah, 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 right? Like those are the things. Um, like it's just a small tweak though. Asking for social is the same, asking for banking is the same. The sales objections are still the same. The booking appointment objections are still the same. So a lot of that stuff translates very well. It's just being able to know the intricacies of that type of sale that we're trying to make. And there's a little bit of a learning curve, right? Um, one of the things that people have talked about running IULs is you can probably do the same amount of premium with less. And I want to talk about that because, and it's not for the lazy agent on here because it's a lot of work, but like, do you think that's a valid statement? Do you think you work just as hard, less, the same? What is that answer for you?
Yeah, so just to touch on what you said too, I'm glad that I did it in the order that I did, going from final expense to mortgage to IULs, because those of you that haven't done IULs like a triple threat, right? I can provide value on their final expenses, covering their mortgage and building their retirement, right? Whereas when I'm doing final expense, I'm just talking about their final expenses. When I'm doing mortgage, I'm just talking about their mortgage, right? So you have this triple threat. It's very hard for you to not build value if you do it correctly, right? So, what was your question? I'm sorry, Stephen.
So
I
like,
wanted to throw that.
so like people always talk about in the industry, right? Even at FFL, because I kind of know it's true. Average AP on a FE case,
Yes.
800 AP. Average
Yeah,
mortgage protection AP, 1,800, give or take, 150 a month, right? Average case IUL is like 2,500, 3,000.
yeah.
So like a lot of people go, I can do less work and sell the same type of premium. But is it actually less work because you got to still go through people, present. Sometimes you have to do a second presentation, blah, 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 blah. So are you working just as hard, less, the same? Like, what is that answer like for you?
I'm doing less presentations, but the same amount of work, if that
Love it.
makes sense.
Great answer.
Because a lot of it, and this is what happens when you get into fully underwritten, you got a lot more stuff to do on the back end, right? Especially if you guys are submitting with NLG, which is a whole other game. I love NLG, but I am not still, even 2 months into this, I'm not used to fully underwritten. I do not like having to go back and contact the client 3 to 5 different times to get information to submit it to them and having to talk back and forth with the carrier. I feel like that's too much and you're going to lose sales that way. So I've kind of pivoted from what I was initially doing to simplified issue IULs. So you kind of adapt as you go, right? And that's what I'm big on is I don't ever stay the same. I'm constantly adapting to where I feel like I need to adapt or what's better for me and my business. But to answer your question, I'm still doing quite a bit of work, but ultimately I would say I don't have to do as much initial leg work
It's
because
not front end work, it's back
it's
end work.
less apps. Yeah, it's still working the same amount, less apps, but it gives me it's cool because I can delegate some of that back end stuff to my admin, right? So it takes it off of me. And ultimately, there's two reasons I made the switch. Number one, the company is moving in that direction because of profitability. So I wanted to get on the train before I get left behind. And like you said, it's good to use all 4 quadrants of your license. That's what we have it for. And when you look at it, IULs and annuities are going to be the most profitable overall. And then number two is my whole reason for being at FFL is to build a business. I didn't come here to sell. I can sell anywhere. I know that. I'm confident in my ability to pick up sales skills anywhere I go. I want to actually build this into something big. So with that, I was able to, or I am able to put a little more time into recruiting and training agents and stuff like that.
Right. I love that because for anybody that thinks that just because you're doing IULs, you get to duck the work, it ain't the case. Like front end work, you're doing less of, but you're doing way more back end work. Simplified issue business, dude, like you can submit a policy, final expense, simplified IUL. It goes through, clients approve same day. There ain't much back end work. You do the NLG, F&G type stuff, right? Now you got to go signed illustrations, rated table class because of their health. Something came back. Oh, shoot, got to do a telephone interview. Oh, shoot, might have to do an APS. Dang it, we might actually have to draw blood. Like, there's a lot of back end work. And so, like, I want to give you the full scope of it going, you might do less apps because the premiums are bigger, but you're not going to run away from the work because you still got to get the policy through. Like, we're very clear about that. And because like I see so many people go, oh, IULs, I sell way less and I make way more. And I'm like, that's half of it. There's still work behind. Like, let's not lie to agents and be one-sided. You know what I mean? So I love that you say that. Riyadh, one of the things that I tell people, like for example, like I like using my buddy Amin as an example because I feel like the way he's doing it is perfect. He got started. We gave him some FE leads. He ripped a few Eagles and Trans and whatever it is, right? So he understands that. Now he's currently working on some IVRs. He has a few of his friends that reached out from work. He wrote an IBC policy on one of them. He wrote an IUL policy on the other. So he's experienced the full spectrum of his license. And like at conference, he was like, I think I'm going to do this IUL thing. And I'm like, be careful, be careful, right? And he's like, what do you mean? Like everybody's talking about it. And I'm like, until you go through it, you're going to see how painful it can be. And so he writes an American Eagle. It pays in like that, right? The NLG policy, the F&G policy, the IBC policy, it's taking 2, 3, 4 weeks to close. And it's good money. We're not saying that it isn't, but that's why I go as a brand new agent. If you're taking notes, write this down. If you're a brand new agent, your job is to stay in business. And you can't stay in business when your pay is 3, 4, 5 weeks delayed. You need to write some business that deposits into your account right now so you can reinvest back into your business. And the IUL stuff and all the other fully underwritten stuff is like parachute money. When it comes, right? And we expect it to come. But like you need to write some simplified issue business too, because you need to stay alive and pay your bills. Right. So that's the picture I want you guys to understand. Riad, you said you transitioned from simplified IULs from fully underwritten IULs. When do you make that decision on where do you take a client?
It's going to be from their goals.
Okay.
Ultimately, like what do they want to do? If they're telling me, hey, I want to do $1,000 a month, cash value is all the way most important to me, I'm not going to put them in an America IUL. It just doesn't
Right.
make sense, right?
Right.
But if they're like, hey, I have $200 a month, you know, I like the insurance, I want to build cash value as well, I'm going America all day, and I'm just presenting it in the correct way to not screw them over. Hey, we can start with $200 a month, but you are going to have to overfund this to meet your goals. Very important that anytime you get any extra money, you are putting it in here. It's going to go straight towards your cash accumulation. But let's be real, you're 50 years old. You want to retire in 15 years. It's not going to happen off of $200 a month. So you got to put more money into this as you go. And as long as I do that and I'm open and honest with them, I'm good. I'll sell simplified issue all day.
Right.
But it doesn't make sense for someone that's, has money, wants to put in quite a bit every single month. I have to go with fully underwritten, and that's fine, right? The reason I made the switch is we talk about this all the time, right? I told you my primary goal is building a business, right? And you have to be duplicatable. So if I'm teaching brand new agents fully underwritten and they don't have a bankroll to sustain that, I have $35,000 sitting in underwriting in F&G or in NLG, and it's
Wow.
driving me crazy right now. And I'm fortunate enough that I can sustain
Right.
not getting that money for a while. but a brand new agent will be out of business.
Correct.
It's not, it literally will not work. So I cannot train on that. It's America first, mutual second. We don't like to go there, but ethos third. But you have to go that way with a brand. Not to talk crap, but it's
Oh,
just they
it
have
is
a
what it
great
is.
system. They're just a little slower on things. But yeah, I mean, that's ultimately why I made the switch. I don't mind NLG, but it does drive me nuts to not get my money right away that I worked for.
Yeah. And,
So,
and that's and that's what we just talked about. You got to stay in business. And a brand new agent that has 500, $1,000 left to his name to be able to land a big policy, but usually big policies take big underwriting. And can they wait 2 to 3 weeks without getting a check? That's dangerous. You know what I mean? By the time the
not
policy,
only that, I was just going to say, not only that, a lot of people don't realize they cap us on
oh yeah,
commissions. So if you sell this policy where
500.
your commission is $10,000, you're only going to see 2,500 of it right away, 3,000 of it. So you might be better off doing a simplified issue where you get paid 2 grand in 3 days than
Right.
waiting on that big policy, right? So a lot of people don't know that. I had to find that out real quick.
Right. And that's why
So
I'm saying I'm not negating, I'm not talking smack about like IULs. I'm saying write the simplified stuff so you can stay in business because that's the biggest part of this game. Because if you don't, you will easily go out of business because it takes a while to underwrite. You know what I mean? Like you talk about annuities. Janelle wrote an annuity case in December. It literally funded 2 weeks ago. Like you talk about 4 months of underwriting, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. With suitability went through easy. Trying to exchange funds, pull that money back, 1031 exchange, all that. Dude, it was a pain, right? And so like I look at that and I go, imagine if she had to like wait for that to live on. And then the craziest part was in the process of those 4 months she waited on, like the commission was cool, but she could have wrote that 4 5x if she just wrote FE mortgage. It would have been
yeah,
immediate, but we don't get
should
mad
just be a
about money like
supplement to what you're
that.
doing.
Right. It's parachute money. You know what I mean? So let's dive into it. I want to talk about lead spend, lead flow. We're not gonna hide from it. Like you self-gen, fair? Like, because
Oh
we
yeah,
try to get our agents to self-gen. And I tell this people all the time.
100%.
I don't, we're not a lead vendor. I don't really care how you make money or how you generate leads. Just make sure it's legal and compliant. I'm game. I don't care where you buy them, how you get them. Just make sure that you're not doing some illegal stuff because it ain't worth you losing your license, right? So like I like to push our agents to go do their own thing, like run your own campaigns, do that stuff. You pay a guy to manage it, I'm assuming.
Yeah, yeah. And the self lead gen is the best too because as long as you're staying compliant, like you said, you can have whatever you want said in the ad.
Right.
It's compliant. So the leads that I'm doing are kind of built towards simplified issue. They're talking about like a death benefit in there. It's not just cash value, cash value, cash
Right.
value. So when I get a client on, yeah, they want the cash value, but they also want the insurance.
Right.
So it makes more sense for simplified issue.
Right. I love
Right?
that.
But yes, I have someone that manages.
We
I mean,
pay a month, give or take, for that.
the management,
Yeah.
$1,000,
Yeah. That's pretty standard for
which
most.
is, dude, the amount of stuff that they do. Like, I look at everything as an investment, right? I've
Right.
looked at what they do for that $1,000, and it saves me so much time making sure that everything is on track. Because it's not just, you guys don't just put an ad and then set it and forget it. It's not how it works. You have to constantly change the ads and see what's working. You gotta, what do they call it? Test where is one doing better than the other?
Right.
I don't have time to worry about that. I just
Your
want
job is to
appointments
sell
on my schedule
insurance.
and I want to sell insurance for my team.
Right.
Yeah.
I love
So
it. So okay, how much did you spend in leads last month, give or take?
I think it was 8,300 in lead.
8,300. How many leads you get for that?
217.
Okay. So here, hey, here's where we're gonna scare y'all a little bit now. Y'all ready for this? Because I know his numbers, because we talked about it. 217 leads came in. How many appointments did you and your dialers set?
Ooh, between the two, I want to say, let's see, I can tell you exactly. It
Just
was,
over 100?
yeah. Yeah, over 100.
Over 100. So listen. Y'all getting antsy. He has 200 leads, half of them set. Y'all are like, whoa, that's dope. I'm gonna mess with you a little bit. 100 appointments, Riad. How many showed up?
Dude, it's bad.
Transparency. That's what
I
we're
don't
doing.
know if I don't know if this is accurate on here because I think but it's showing 20%, which is
20%.
really bad. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it calculates wrong. I would say it's probably closer to 40%. The tool that they're using, I think, doesn't count when when I reschedule someone and move the appointment. I think it counts it as a no-show.
Got it.
There's a lot of reschedules, of course, but I mean,
So 30 to 40% show up. So like 30 to actually 40% that you get to present to. How many of them did you close?
it says here I closed 13, so submitted 13 apps and 12 were approved.
How much premium was that?
41,000.
Y'all see those numbers? It'll mess you up. Because some of y'all go, he got 200 leads for 8 grand. That's not horrible. And then you go, wait, half of them booked? Dang, that's crazy. Because in FE mortgage, that does not exist. Right. And then you go, wait a second, only 30% of them showed up. What the heck? And he closes 13, 12 of them issue, 40 G's. It's a different game. The expectations have to be different when you're running this game. Because if you expect, 30 show up, you gonna close 25 of them, kind of like we do in mortgage. It's not it's a different game, right? And kind of like what you said, Riad, how much do you have in pending business?
I don't know. It's so stupid, to be honest. It like drives me nuts. It's like at least 30, 35 in NLG. And dude, it's crazy because these people want it. They gave me all their information, but now it's like imagine like we're talking about show rate. Imagine you got to contact that person 5 more times.
Right.
No, they don't like one guy. I've been chasing. It's like a $7,000 commission. I've been chasing the guy. He answers the phone once a week. I'm like, dude, we're just down to your policy delivery now. That's
Right.
all I need to do.
Right.
I still can't get a hold of him. So that's
Is it
the difference is
fair to say that in the IUL game compared to final expense and mortgage game, the IUL game is a pipeline game. You need to
100%.
put so much business in your pipeline because it eventually funnels down to what actually gets through, right? While simplified FE and mortgage, you put it in, you know you're going to get approved or not. Is very quick and easy. And that's why I'm saying for those of you that want to play this game, you got to know the expectations and the rules of the game before you get in. You can't look at premium and go, that person wrote 85 grand last month and it issued. Okay, cool. But like, how long did those policies take to issue? How long was he, not getting a deposit for? Like, I just want you to have the clear expectations. And I think you all should do it because it makes you well-rounded agents, right? So let's go through a generic script, right? Let's say I fill out an IUL lead, goes directly to you because it's in your personal campaign. It ain't being resold to anybody else. How does that conversation start? Do you dial it? Do your dialers dial it? How do you get me on your calendar and what do we do from there?
I have my dialers do it all for
Fair.
me. I passed that off a while ago just because once again I'm trying to build a business, but it's literally the same as final expense or mortgage. Hey, this is so and so giving you a call regarding your IUL request. You put your date of birth here as boom 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 and your email as boom boom boom. Is that correct? Right? That's how my dialer does it. She'll book it. When I get on the call, I just say, hey, this is Riad, the IUL specialist, just giving you a call for our appointment. Is now still a good time? Yes. Okay, I'm gonna and I jump right into it. There's no hi, how are you? I'm not trying to do any of that
Can you
stuff.
explain why? Because I hear a lot of agents do that. I hear a lot of agents go, Riyadh, hey, Riyadh, this is Steven, your insurance agent. How are you, man?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like people are used to it from telemarketers calling them or
Correct.
something. I don't know. And it's a literally we're trying to differentiate ourselves from telemarketers in
Correct.
the first 10 seconds of the call. So you can't be doing that. And I don't want to befriend someone until I have their social, their banking, and their driver's license number, and I'm in the app. I don't do rapport. It's business.
Right.
Once I have that stuff, I am then creating my client for life. Talk
Correct.
about their kids, talk about, how's the weather, all that BS. I'm creating that. That's very important. I just know when to do it.
We do that during the app because there's time to kill on the app, right? A lot of people do it early on and you don't get in the app because the clients are talking too much, right? So I love that. Okay, so when you call, you don't ask that question. How do you open it? What are your first few questions, knockouts, whatever it may be?
Yeah, I verify their email because I am actually emailing now. I have a CRM that I use that does email, so I want to make sure I have that. That way they're getting the emails. Um, Verify their state that they're in. Extremely important. I found out is because some people will put a state that they were born in, but not that they're actually living in. So I
Mm,
want to verify that. And then on the leads that I'm working, we have a primary goal. So I want to basically bring that up and make sure that's what they're at. So I verify that stuff, and then I go into, hey, what all do you know about the IUL so far, just so I know, where you're at. Have them talk a little bit, and then one key thing that I do is I'll always ask, hey, am I the first person that you're talking to, or have you looked at other like illustrations, or have you been talking to anyone else?
mm, that's good.
Right? Just because I know, I mean, I'm just getting ahead of an objection, right? A shop around objection. Oh, I'm gonna go talk to this guy, right? So I'm just getting ahead of that. After that, I go into setting the table like we normally do. Hey, I'm a broker and an underwriter, so you understand I work with every single company. That way you don't have to go and talk to 10 different people. I can help you out. What we're going to do today is the IULs are a form of life insurance, so you can't just buy it. You do have to get approved for it. They're going to look at your health, background, driving and criminal record, and income. So I'm going to go through their questionnaire with you, and then we're going to talk about your goals and then what you were looking to contribute into this. And then if everything makes sense, the only thing you can do today is submit an application to see if you can get approved. That sound good? Cool. And then I go right into the inventory.
Got it. What are you asking on the inventory? How do you get to budget, income, all that stuff? Because that's
In
the stuff I've heard. People go add another number to your age, right? So if you're 35 years old, put a zero at the end. If you're 50 years old, put a zero at the end. I've seen people talk about that. I've heard people go, hey, 10% of your income, right? You make 8 grand a month, you should be putting 800 bucks in. You make 5 grand a month, you should be putting 500 in. What is your way of getting that info?
Same thing. I use the rule of 10, 10 times their age or 10% of their income, but that's not like a die hard rule, right? Just
Right.
because it's 10 times their age. If someone's left with 800 bucks and they're 50 years old, I'm not telling them to do 500 bucks a month, even if they agree to it.
Right.
I'm actually talking them down because I know that's going to be a chargeback eventually. Right. So, but I tell all of because me and Desiree Bloss, we do trainings every single day, and we train when we do get to script part, we train that this is the portion of the call that should take the longest. This is where you're getting all your ammunition. This is where you're building all your value. This is where you're selling. Right? We're not just grabbing health to find out, what they can qualify for. That's just a small fraction of it, right? I'm finding out their exact health, especially with IULs. And I think I told you this the other day, is I'm actually trying to get really good at underwriting now because of the fully underwritten stuff.
Right.
I don't want to submit and have to do a bunch of other stuff. So I'm actually making it a point to get really good at underwriting. Whereas simplified issue, you're like, it's
Cut 'em
very
in.
cut and dry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cut
it's
'em,
very
throw them
simple.
in and see what happens.
Exactly. So I dig really deep into the health. I always start with health first. Big mistake people make, and I think it's because of how we have some inventory sheets laid out, is people start with financial stuff first. If you do that, it's a huge mistake because it screams salesperson. Talk about health first. So I dig deep into that. Then I go over their full background. I dig pretty deep into that. So I'm always grabbing, exact diagnosis, exact medications, exact dates on which they were diagnosed, when they got their felony or background stuff. Then I dig into occupation. Then I dig into their significant other. And this is something that I changed with mortgage. With mortgage, I would not do an appointment at all without spouse.
House. Yeah.
I would literally do it like at the beginning of the call. If the spouse was not there, my dialer would ask that in the call. If they were supposed to be there and they're not there, I'm rescheduling. I'm not wasting any time. automatic reschedule. With this, what I've found and what some top producers have told me is that a lot of people don't like to mix their retirement when they're married, even when they're married.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've had some people that are like, no, 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 I'm good. My wife doesn't need to know.
Hmm.
Right. So
Okay,
what I
so that's
do,
very interesting you say that. How many times do you get into the app on a one-legger that they go, I got to talk to my spouse about it?
I don't because I get ahead of it. So when
Okay.
I ask them, hey, are you single or married? They say I'm married. I then say, okay, cool. Does wifey make decisions when it comes to your retirement? No, no, she's good. Okay, perfect. So we're not going to go, over this for the next 30 minutes and you're going to tell me that you need to go and talk to her? Oh, yeah, actually, we'll have to talk to her. Okay, in that case, let's go ahead and reschedule. She
That's
does
so
need to be
good.
a part of this call. They require it. Now I was
That's so
blaming on
good.
they, right? They require it. That
Well,
way they're not
shoot, if
looking
you
at
look at
me.
the app, some of the apps do require that.
Yeah.
Some of the apps require a spousal signature on like high-end cash value products because they do. Because that's who's usually going to on a death benefit, right? So it's funny you say that, but oh wow, okay, cool.
Yeah, and it's funny, we'll do call reviews with our agents on Zooms like this, and they will ask if they have a spouse, and I'll literally pause the call and say, hey, like this is where you would literally need to reschedule because they have a spouse that is part of the decision making, right? Because what's going to happen is they're going to say, hey, I need to go talk to my spouse.
Right,
And then we'll play the call, and sure enough, 3 minutes later, they're saying, yeah, I got to talk to my spouse. Right. So it's just, and it's something you learn early on here. It's like anything else. Think about it, stuff you don't want to get an objection. You want to get ahead of it.
right,
So, and that's one of the most common ones. So I try and get ahead of it. So I do that. And then I dig into like their living situation. If they own or rent, right? Very important. If they own a home, then I can build value on the insurance portion and the living benefits portion. Um, then I dig into their expenses. That's probably one of the most important parts because, like I said, I'm not going to put someone in something they can't afford. So I will dig into that. Hey, how much do you have left after all of your bills, your reoccurring Netflixes, Hulus, your groceries, eating out, gas, fun stuff, whatever you do in life in a given month? Oh, I'm left with 800. All right, perfect. Now, on your worst month, where everything's going wrong. You get a flat tire, your fridge goes out, you got to fix your air conditioning. What is something that you are comfortable with contributing out of that? Oh, on my worst month, probably 300. Well, boom, now I know target, right? I've narrowed it down. I'm not just going to be like, oh, they have 800 a month. We can do 500 easily, right? Because stuff's going to happen in life. So I dig into that. I dig into their life insurance, whether it's private or from work. So once again, I can build value off of that. If it's work, it's going to go away eventually. If it's private, how much do they have? What do they have? Right? Most people are underinsured.
right.
So I can build value on that. And then golden question that everyone should be asking. And dude, from my 2 years of mortgage, I've given up so much money and I already know it by not trying to get annuity opportunities.
Right.
I've just literally given away money to other agents that, actually ask the question. So I ask the golden question always to find that annuity money, but also to point out the fact that they are behind on their retirement because most people are behind on their retirement, right? So if I'm
Right.
talking, oh yeah, I have a 401k, it's got 20 grand in there. So you're 50 years old, you only have 20 grand in there, you want to retire at 65. So we're a bit behind, right, Bob? So I'm building value. So when I get to the cash value part of an IUL, I'm going to talk about that. So that's pretty much the entire, in a nutshell, entire client inventory that I go through. I do ask about beneficiaries and get the names and build the why on that as well. You guys should be doing that on every call. It doesn't matter what lead you're working. But
So
yeah,
when you get to options, are you running options right then and there? Because I know some people do a two-call close, some people do a one-call close. What is your thoughts on that?
at first I did a 2 call close because I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay.
So I wanted to collect the information, gather myself, learn, come back with a game plan, right? Now I've gotten good enough that I do it all on one call because just like the no-show rate, it's so hard to get someone back on the phone.
Right.
It's so important that you do it on the same call. If you're brand new, you should not be doing it on the same call. You should split it up. Maybe some of you even have someone that's going to help you out with the illustration presentation. But now I'll almost do it how I did mortgage is I'll gather all their information. I'll say, hey, Bob, I'm just going to take a couple minutes, look for the best option and put together an illustration for you. Then I'm going to come back. I'm going to share my screen with you and I'll walk you through it. So I do that. I put them on hold for anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. And then I will put together an illustration and I'll use crank wheel,
Okay.
which
That's what I was
is
going to ask next.
awesome. Like the best thing ever.
So you
'Cause
crank wheel, you send them a link, they can see your screen as you're explaining the illustration.
yep, and I'm in full control. It's not me emailing them the illustration and hoping they're following along or they're
Right.
scrolling. I'm in full control of it,
Right.
right?
Because a lot of
So
people make them hop on Zoom so they can show that. And my thoughts are like, although a lot of people are tech savvy nowadays, especially considering COVID, everything went on like digital screens like WebEx and Zoom and Microsoft Office Teams and all that stuff. I just still think that people don't know how to log in.
no,
I mean, and
crank
so
what? Never had a problem.
correct. And I
Never.
love that because I know, Janelle uses it a lot. And I've seen a lot of you guys talk about it. So which is great because you can literally see what part of the screen they're looking at as well.
Dude, and I didn't even know this. Like the other day, not the other day, a couple weeks ago, I was messing with it and I'm like, oh shit, it's got a camera on there.
Yeah.
I actually used it to close the sale. Husband was on board, wife was not. She was skeptical. And I'm like, well, look, I'll get on camera for you. I don't care. You're looking at my website, you're looking at my credentials. So I got nothing to hide. And I put the camera on.
Right.
So yeah, you don't even need Zoom anymore.
Love it. Love it. Cool. So when you show options, because this is where it's a little bit different, I feel. You're not going three options, are you? I'm assuming you pick one.
There's
Yeah.
no options. I narrow them down, like I said earlier, with their expenses. And at one point, when we go over their goals after the inventory, we go over their goals. I will ask them their contribution. First, I'll say what most people do is they put in 10% of their income. For you, that would be 500 bucks a month. Now, we said on your worst month, you're left with about 300. So that doesn't make sense. We're not going to do that. So what would you be most comfortable out of that 300 contributing every month? Oh, 200. Perfect. Then I go and put together an illustration for 200 bucks a month. And I go through the illustration, very basic. I dumb it down to the extreme. I'm only showing 4 pages. I'm talking maybe for 3 minutes in total about the illustration. And then once I ask if they have any questions, they don't have any. I say, hey, did you want to see if you can get approved for the 200? Or now that you've seen it, you want me to look at a different number for you? And
Okay.
then I'm quiet.
How many people go, yeah, we'll take it?
Most of them.
Good. Good.
Yeah.
So when you go into that, you're going right into the app right then and there, and you're still sharing your screen with Crank Wheel, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I go right into it. I do share the screen with the application, but one change that I made probably 5 months ago now, and I tried this like 2 years ago, it just didn't work for me. But instead of gathering the information during the app, I get it up front, right? Because some of like the NLG app is pretty lengthy. I don't want to go through all of that to get to the banking and then get stonewalled on the banking.
Right.
Right. So my transition is, did you want to stick with the 200? Yeah, the 200 is good. Okay, I'm going to get the application started. The insurance carrier is going to need 3 things from you for the application. So number one, they do need your driver's license number. They are going to verify who you are and if you have any, driving stuff like DUIs, stuff like
Mhm.
that. The next thing is they are going to look at all your medical records. So they need to contact the MIB, Medical Information Bureau. They need your social. They're going to match it to your name. Third thing is for your protection and the insurance carrier's protection. They're going to validate you as the payor on the insurance policy to make sure no one's trying to do any insurance fraud in your name. There's no money laundering going on or funding of any terrorists. They need your banking information, routing and account number. They're going to match it to your name and your social. You cannot contribute anything today, but this is how you'll make your monthly contributions down the road. Go ahead and grab those 3 things and I'll get the application started for you. And I think I said this on your last call too,
Right.
is when I started doing it. In order to do that, and I caution all the new people, because Des and I are in the process of converting people to it, but if you do not have the right tonality, and if you do not have the right like presence with them, like doctor-patient relationship, you're gonna get stonewalled every single time. And that's what happened when I tried it a couple years ago. It wasn't working for me. So I was like, I can't do this. I got to go back. But then, even though my close rate with telesales is like 70%, even that extra 30% where I'm not closing, I'm wasting 20 minutes on the app and it was driving me nuts, right? Because like business, time is money. Like if we want to be efficient with everything. So that's why I made the adjustment and I just figured out the tonality, how I needed to say it up front. And most of the time, if I do get an objection, I either save myself 20 minutes or I get over it right then and there. And then I know I'm safe because I literally take down all that information before I do that.
Right.
So
Are you
I have their banking.
are you, how often do you have to do a second appointment, percentage wise?
Um, it's pretty low. I base it based off of the person, the read that I get on the person. If I feel like I'm going to push them to the point of no return, then I'll set a second appointment. I don't, it's not something I want to do,
Right.
but for example, I had a guy a couple weeks ago. He wanted to do, I think, 700 a month or something like that. And he told me that he didn't need to talk to his wife. So I ended up doing it. And then at the end, he gave me the wife objection. So it still happens. But I pushed him a little bit. And then I felt like this guy actually was interested, but he really did just want to talk to his wife.
Right.
So then I made the exception of booking another appointment. Sometimes you have to,
And
right?
that's what I was trying to get at is, telesales is a lot different than face to face because face to face, I can literally go, I ain't coming back. Right. You don't hold that power over the phone because they just never answer ever again. Right. And so like I see so many people lose clients because they try to push a little too far. And that's where for me it's like a feel thing. And I don't think you get this feel unless you've been here for a minute and you understand what the clients are feeling. And so like I'll give you an example, right? Janelle booked an appointment a week and a half ago for me. And I hate it when people leave notes, but she leaves notes. So she left notes going, this guy reported the previous agent to the Department of Insurance, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, all right, don't botch this. So I call the guy. He was cool as hell. And because I had a little bit of notes, I mean, I prefer not to have it, but I'm like, damn it, I looked at it. I can't unsee it, right? So I go, hey, man, looks like you reported the previous agent to the Department of Insurance. And I crack a joke and I laugh about it. He goes, yeah, man. He said this, 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 and this, and this, and this. And I was like, dang, that sucks. Like, it sounds like you dealt with an amateur. Um, well, let me tell you this. I've been doing this for almost 10 years, and I do not have an interest in letting you report me to the Department of Insurance. So, like, I'm just going to tell you what, we're going to do the whole thing up front. And if you like it, great. If you don't, I'm done. We're good. So, like, I collected all the information health wise. He's had like really messed up health though, like crazy stuff. And I'm like, I'm not getting an app through tonight. Like, I know I'm not. You know what I mean? Like, you know how you feel like you're like, I'm not getting an app through. So I was like, hey, Brian, you know what? Let me just call you this weekend after I do some homework and call the insurance companies on your behalf, see if we can actually even get you an approval because with all the stuff you got, like, bro, I'm just gonna be honest. I'd be shocked if anybody said yes. And he's like, yeah, 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 absolutely. So I call him on the weekend, doesn't answer me. Call him on Monday for the scheduled appointment. He goes, dang it, in the vet, dog got bit by a rattlesnake, spent 8 grand to keep him alive. Right? I'm like, what the heck? Reschedule to yesterday. Or no, no, I'm sorry, Monday. And uh San Diego had earthquake. So he's like, earthquake hit heavy. I'm backed up and tied up at work. Can't see you. I'm like, all good. Rescheduled to yesterday. Put him through AMAM. He got denied. Right? Put him through Ethos Advantage Whole Life. He got approved. I was shocked. Took the picture, sent it to him, and he's drafting tomorrow. But I'm like, I look at that and I go, yeah, that took about 4 calls, but like there's no way I was closing him on the first one. Like I know there was no way I was going to close him on the first one. Now he's like, hey, I need to get my wife some. Wants the IUL for the wife because obviously he can't get it. Can we schedule something this upcoming week? I'm like, you got it, bud. But like I share this with people. I'm like, it's a feel. You gotta know what the client is doing on the other side. And if you're very like set in stone, like this is the only way I operate, it's gonna be tough, right? It's gonna be tough. But like some people, you got to give them that little rope and be like, you know what? For you, I will do another appointment only for you. Most of the time, I don't, right? Sometimes you just go, no, I'm not doing it, right? But you have to develop that feel because in telesales, we do have to follow up, especially
Yeah,
now.
100%. And it just comes with the reps.
Yeah,
Literally all it is.
yeah, exactly. Hey, if y'all have any questions, feel free to drop them in the Q&A. I know there's a few that are in there, and I want to go over them to make sure I can get your questions answered. Art asked, can you explain the difference between annual premium and target?
Yeah, so annual is going to be the entire premium, both what they're paying for insurance and what's going to their cash accumulation. We get paid on target, which is just the amount that they're paying for insurance.
Right.
Right. So when you see, and it's weird because we post annual premium. So a lot of people's numbers look inflated. So, and that's why me and Steven talk about this all the time. Leaderboards are such a just, I like to look at leaderboards because I'm very competitive, but I would look at the actual like issue paid leaderboards that we have access to just to kind of determine, and then you can learn it for yourself. 75% of what you see is probably what they got paid. But when I post like a $12,000 IUL, I'm not getting paid 12,000. But a brand new agent or someone that doesn't know is like, oh my God, that's so good, right? And if you're really doing right by the client, you don't get paid much on IULs. It's not, it is higher than other stuff, but it's not $12,000, right?
For a
Uh,
few reasons. Number one, there's caps,
mhm.
right? Because the cap's like 2,500, 3 grand. And then the other part of it is there's going to be, if you build it right, there should be some type of accumulation for the client, just a little bit,
Yeah.
at least. So, Carlos asked a great question. How do you determine if you're going simplified IUL versus NLG F and G? Is it based on budget? Is it based on health? What are your determining factors?
I mean, from what I've found so far, health, whether it's simplified or fully underwritten, it's kind of if they are going to get knocked out of one or the other, they're not going to get approved. Definitely budget and their goals, right? Which is why I was saying earlier in the call, like we like automatically just think cash accumulation when it comes to IUL, but it does so much more than that. And I think if you guys are only selling it based off of that, and I've heard it go both ways. I've heard top producers say you shouldn't talk about the death benefit and the living, and I'm like, what? Why? It's just extra value. That doesn't make sense.
Right.
So just do it based off of their goals. We do have general rule of thumbs that you'll probably see in the training where anything like 300 and below just automatically goes simplified issue. If someone really wants cash value, right? If they're doing 10 times their age, then I'm probably going to go fully underwritten because it just makes more sense. If they're telling me, yeah, I don't really care about the life insurance, I have this policy, and the living benefits are all right, but truly, like I was looking at this to kind of supplement my retirement, help out with that. That's where I want to be. Then you do right by the client and you go fully underwritten and you do maximum cash value, minimum death benefit.
Right. Love it. Keegan asks, are you going for immediate draft or post date?
Post dating will be the death of your business. And so many people do it and I don't understand it. Like, and the biggest thing, and I learned this like at my last sales job, if they can't afford it today, what makes you think they're going to be able to afford it every single month for years? Right. So I do not like to do it. And that is unfortunately one bad habit I picked up from doing IULs because every single presentation I hear, they're like, when did you want this to start? When did you want your contribution to start? So I stopped doing that. I did it at first, I stop doing it and I say, hey, they're going to let you pick a day within the next week if you get approved that you can have this start. What day works best for you? So I literally just shorten it.
Right.
If you don't, they're going to say, hey, let's do it on the first. And it's literally the first today, but they want to do it on the next month.
Right.
No, not doing it that far out.
Right.
So
Um,
yeah, Keegan, always immediate, man, because we are running a business. You got to buy leads too, right? If you post date everything, you will go out of business. And then
gotcha.
it does, truthfully, I believe it leads to more chargebacks.
Right. Here's a question I got for you. It's how do you know when the underwriting is going to approve?
How do I know when the underwriting is going to approve? I go through all of the cheat sheets and like, is
Right,
that
but like you can like when you submit the NLG app or even F and G app, like on the fully underwritten stuff, you might be able to pick the draft date like sometime this
oh
week,
yeah,
but
that's a different
sometimes it's going to take 2 to 3 weeks. So like,
that's
what
a
do you
different
do in those
ball.
situations?
I don't set a date on that. I just basically ask them, hey, when, because I already know in beginning I did, but with NLG, like you said, like I have not had one approved in less than 3 weeks.
Wow.
And I feel like I'm doing a decent job of but the problem is it's not so much to do with NLG. It's more to do with can you get a hold of the client and get that information they need fast,
Back to them. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So um yeah, I mean with NLG, I just don't I say 1 to 3 weeks is what we're looking at. When did you want this to start?
Right.
Do you
And
want, like most people, do you want it to start right away? That's kind of how I nudge them into it.
and the worst part is like you don't know what you can't see on the Medical Information Bureau and the RX reports. And so like sometimes they're going to go, we need an APS. And then when you put that into consideration, like you have no control over that. It's based on how quick the doctor wants to send it back, and they legally have up to 30 days. And so, like I've seen in California, like if you have Kaiser, right, Permanente, they will send that MFR in on the 30th day just because they can. And it's like I hate it, but you know what I mean? Like I've seen it many times. So learn the game, learn the underwriting, kind of like Riad is saying, but like know the carrier's processes. What triggers an APS? Can you get the information prior to going to that? If not, bro, I'm going simplified. Like I
And
look at it this way. You got a client 5'10", 180 pounds. Takes no meds. I got to go through the fully underwritten stuff because we'll probably get accelerated underwriting because he's going to get a preferred rating probably. I got 5'10", 220 blood pressure med, maybe a little cholesterol. I'm gonna probably lean with simplified issue because that's the same rating he's gonna get when he goes table two at the fully underwritten carrier. You know what I mean? Like you got to understand underwriting like that to be able to pick and choose where they're gonna go and save the client the headache too and yourself.
yeah, and when you have something in underwriting for 3 weeks, you need to be talking to your client every few days.
Right.
Otherwise, it will not go through. That's one thing I learned very quick as well. You got to maintain communication with them.
Gotcha. Here's a question from Josh. Building wise, are you having agents jump right into IULs or are you sticking or are you going to stick with running IULs? Or is it something that you're doing and then offering it later? Great training, bro.
You and I have talked about this all the time, man. It's like duplication, right? I can't be doing IULs and training on veteran final expense. It just does not make sense. So I'm choosing to do IULs. I partnered with Desiree. She's doing full IULs. So we are 100% IUL. We're not talking about final expense. We do have a pivot to whole life, of course, if they can't qualify for an IUL, which we're just calling cash value whole life, right? So as long as we explain it correctly, we're not misleading the client, but I'm having them jump right into IULs. I feel like it's a lot easier than mortgage, but not as easy as final expense,
Gotcha.
right? And I kind of don't want to go backwards. It might be me being stubborn. I can sell final expense. I was very successful at it, but I want to learn this and master this and do this. And I'm very like, I have tunnel vision when it comes to stuff. I don't want to put my energy on anything else. So I'm trying to master IULs and annuities this year, I told myself.
I love it. Last question from Carlos. If you get a decline from NLG F&G, how do you pivot from there and not lose the interest in the product?
So beautiful part about Mutual of Omaha and Americo is we can do the first 2 pages of that app to see if they'll be approved, right? So I use that to my advantage quite a bit. If they're not going to get approved for an IUL, I just basically do our whole life pivot, which is like, hey, unfortunately, due to your health, we're not eligible for the traditional IUL, but we do have something that has a lot of the same benefits, cash value whole life, like the baby IUL. It's got a death benefit, it has terminal illness rider, and it does build some cash value. It's going to be a lot better than putting your money in the bank. Did you want to stick with the 200 on that, or do you want me to adjust? And I had a guy wanted an IUL bad. He couldn't qualify for it. He was at 800 bucks a month. And I did 4 whole life policies and he's happy with them. He knows how they work. He knows the amount of coverage. And I mean, I didn't, otherwise, if you don't know how to pivot, you're losing a lot of business.
Right.
Have to.
That's what I was going to ask you is how often do you get a lead? They're 59, 62, heart attack 3 years ago.
All the time.
So
All
what
the
are you
time.
doing that?
I basically just present it as cash value whole life. I am not telling them that they're going to earn 5 to 15% interest.
Right.
Right? I don't talk about the interest so much. If they ask me, I'll say it's generally anywhere, and this is what I've been told by carriers, anywhere it's like a set amount, anywhere from 3 to 5%, 3 to 6% is what I've been told
For the whole life products.
for the whole life
Yeah,
products.
yeah, yeah. Gotcha.
So, but once again, I'm running leads that are talking about death benefit. So these people do also want death benefit with cash value.
Right.
Not there are some people that I know. I just talked to one at the Sean's thing where they are literally building up cash value and that's it. And their leads are like over 100 bucks a pop,
Damn.
right? And they're just doing high profile clients that want cash accumulation, right?
Interesting. Um, this is a great question. How do you ask for referrals after you close it?
Do you ask right after you close? Okay, so Alice, this is the problem with FFO. Okay, this is the only problem we have with FFO is we are extremely spoiled in the fact that we have leads. So I'm not going to lie to you and tell you how I asked because I'm very bad with it. I don't ask. And that is a detriment to my business, something that I need to learn. I'm learning every day, guys. I've been here 4 years, but I learn every single day. And I'm losing out on a lot of money by not simply asking them for referrals. Because why would someone give me their banking, their social, trust in me, but they're not going to give me their, son or daughter or brother or sister, right? I'm really bad at it, and it's something that I'm working on as well. So I do ask occasionally, but it's not, I haven't disciplined myself to be consistent with it yet.
I love
So those are 2 things that I'm bad at, and I'll be transparent. Referrals, and this is so bad, but client book of business. I have a book of business of like 2,000 people or at least 1,500, and I have not taken full advantage of it. There's so much money just sitting in there that other people are taking advantage of that I have not. So the blessing and the curse of having leads.
through that. Well, Riad, I appreciate you, man, for hopping on and sharing this with us. I hope you guys got as much value as I did getting out of this because, dude, like, I'll share this real quick. Like, we're at Integrity a couple weeks back, and they're creating, this software that allows us to be able to quote IULs as well for cash accumulation, full death benefits, all that stuff. And one of the guys that was in the training, he was one of the agents, newer guy, didn't, very sold a lot, but like too new to understand anything, right? And he was like, I think that's stupid. We should definitely not release the IUL on Life Center before we release term. And I looked at Andrew and I was like, are you gonna say something? Because I'm gonna. You're right. And Andrew's like, hey, like, great job killing it, bro, because you're selling FE in term. But like half the company's volume is in IULs. So, like, although you might not be in IULs, half of FFL's volume is in IULs, right? Like, I look at our group right now, probably 3, 4 months ago, 25% of our volume was IULs. Right now, it's at like 42%, and we're gaining on that. And so for me, it's like, I get it. You know what I mean? Like you said, getting on the train, whatever it may be. I just want people to write what they're comfortable writing and let them get profitable. Like, I don't like, we have some agents, like our number one agent, how refuse is a bad word. He's very comfortable writing final expense because he's got great persistency, kills it, loves the immediate check. He's sticking to what he knows best. Then we have other agents that run mortgage. Then we have other agents that run IULs. I don't care. I want you to get profitable. How about that? You know what I mean? So, Riad, I appreciate you, man. Thank you for taking time out your day to be able to go over this with us. Guys, tomorrow, I can't stop promoting it because it's going to be a great call with Josh and Alondra Crenshaw, with Nina and Hayden on the call as well. We're going to talk about how we build an agency with your spouse. You know what I mean? A lot of you guys, like when I was brand new, I was always envious of those two because I was like, man, like I wish my wife would be able to do this with me. Couldn't because of XYZ. Some of you guys, your wives or your spouses, I should say, are contracted or they have a license, but they don't really do anything. And you want them to do something. And you're like, I don't know how to push them. Those are the great questions that we're going to address tomorrow. And I'm excited for that because, you know, our group is a lot different than most people. And what I mean by that is like most groups in FFL, 24, 25 years old, ain't got a spouse, ain't married, ain't got kids. They don't even know what that side of the world looks like. Like I want to say 90% of our agents married with kids, got a home, like they're that type, right? So that call is going to be powerful for us because it fits our demographic exactly where it needs to be. So, Riyadh,
Mind
I
if I say one
appreciate you.
last thing? Can I
Yeah,
say one
man.
last thing? Okay, so I just came back from Florida. I went to Sean's event, which was freaking amazing. It was a lot more than I expected it to be. We have, you mentioned it earlier, we have Phoenix conference coming up. There's not even words that we can like express to how important these conferences are. Okay. We are grinding our butts off every single day in our own little bubble. It's so important to get out and get around other people and get that training. I've committed myself to every 3 months getting to something because every time I do that and then I come back into my bubble, I feel rejuvenated and ready to get to work, right? It is so important. And I mean, I'm 4 years in and I learned so much off of one day, 8 hours of training from that event, right? So if you're serious about your business, you should be booking your travel today for Phoenix. It is that important. So that's all I want to say.
Love it, man. I
Appreciate you
appreciate
guys.
absolutely. I've said this time and time again, the event you don't go to can't help you. So, Riyadh, I appreciate you. Looking forward to our call tomorrow. And as always, guys, have a great week. Be blessed, and I'll see you at the top.
Thank you guys.